talking to you. Today is on Sunday. I came to Assemblies of God church where my father is pastoring. They sent people to come and beat up my father in the church. They sent people to come and look at my father's face. Look at my father's face. Very dark man. Very dark man. Look at my father's face. Look at my father's face.
They have been beating me since.
Look at my mother.
Put your hands on my body. My brother naked.
Look at my brother. Look at my brother. Look at what they did to my brother. Look at what they did to my brother. My brother is running mad. Look at what they did to my brother. Look at what they did to my brother inside the church. Inside the church. Look at what they did to my brother. My brother is running mad. Inside the church. Inside the church. Inside the church. I need justice. I need justice. I need justice for my father. I need justice for my mother. I will not take it lightly. As many people can lay their hands on my father and mother today, I swear, all of them are their family. I will finish them. I will not take it lightly. Look at my mom. Look at my mom.
What carry gun?
Then they carry tear gas from inside church.
What carry gun?
Then they carry tear gas from inside church.
Then
they carry tear gas from inside church.
So this is a trending video of Assemblies of God Church in Afiesere, Ughelli, Delta State during a Sunday service. And what I can describe now as unknown men or armed men or crazy men came up, entered the church, and they decided to beat up Pastor Friday Utti and his wife. They sprayed something that looked like tear gas directly in their faces, dragged them out, and somehow partially demolished parts of the church structures. The attackers, as you have seen in the video, they wore, this paramilitary uniform. I mean, the guys in this khaki uniform, they are Assemblies of God paramilitary. They call them Royal Rangers. They belong to Assemblies of God youths. They have this group called Royal Rangers. They were even the ones helping out. They were even the one that helped the pastor and the family not to be badly injured. So the people that did the beating are strangers. Now, when I did my background search or investigation, it was revealed that the pastor has some cases of morality. So he was accused of having an affair with a woman who has now died last week. That's the story surrounding it. So I'm not there. That is what is alleged by people that know the full story. They said a married woman from Afiesere community publicly confessed on her what they call watch night or deathbed that Pastor Utti and other men had affair with her. So she already made the confession after a spiritual or traditional affliction. They call it that she was being, persecuted. She was being punished by the ancestors, or the ancestors held her. So the woman died last week after a brief illness. Community youth viewed this as a, confirmation of immorality and the likes. But they should have approached the court. They should have used other means, maybe even police, than just coming. These guys will be arrested. I don't really know where they came from. Maybe they are youths of this afiesere community who came to launch this attack. So they stormed the church at mid-service. I don't think at this time many people have entered the church. Maybe a few people were in service. Maybe it has something like they planned it all out. They planned to come when church members are not so much to repel the attack. So that's what really happened. So, there is always two sides of a story. We've heard from why the daughter was saying, don't finish, or look at what they did to my father. She didn't give us the background story of what happened. She should have said, okay, this is the allegation that is being leveled up against her father being the pastor. If you know Assemblies of God very well, like I do, I've attended Assemblies of God church many times. I'm not a member. Assemblies of God have been having long history or long battle with leadership tussle. When I saw the video, I was thinking maybe it's a leadership tussle, a kind of they transfer the pastor. He refused to go for the transfer, and then they raise them, the pastor that is incoming or whatever, mobilize to come and attack him, that we have seen in recent years. But that's even not the case. The case is that the pastor is being accused of having an affair with a married woman, and then all of a sudden the woman became ill, in a village setting. I believe that should be a village setting. They say, the ancestors, the spirits, the tradition of the land, the gods of the land is against her and all of that, because she, as a married woman, shouldn't have done such. So she died after a brief illness last week. So I believe this should be an attack launched by the youth of Afiesere community in Ughelli in Delta State, or some other aggrieved members of the family of this married woman that died. This is an alleged. I am not saying it's factual. I'm not saying I know I got what I can say credible information regarding it, but this is what so many are alleging against this pastor. Well, we'll soon find the real truth. I had expected these guys to approach court or maybe bring the police to arrest the man, or a strong proof, evidence to show that he actually maybe had an affair with the married woman who is now dead. She died last week. But just to come up and start attacking the pastor right in the church. Now, so many people be asking why did they carry the attack in the church? The reason is that Assemblies of God has a setting. Pastors live in the church. I think Assemblies of God does that. Maybe Redeem, I'm not too sure. Living Faith also, somehow they do that. Assemblies of God, Christ Apostolic Church, and some other churches. These are churches I've known even from childhood, that their pastors live in the church auditorium. They build house for the pastor. They have their church building. They have the quarters where the pastor lives. So that's why you see after that time you see the pastor coming out, sitting down, because he lives right in the church. We'll soon find out. They call the lady called Very Dark Man. The Very Dark Man should come and help them. We'll see. I believe Very Dark Man will respond to her and maybe do the investigation himself. But the thing is, let them come out and tell us the reason why this happened. Because a lot of people who know the story very well, they believe that Pastor Friday Utti had an affair with a married woman who later died last week after a brief illness. So many believe the gods of the land, a village setting, the gods of the land are angry, with her. Why did the gods of the land attack only the woman and not the man? This is my problem with all these village beliefs and all these village people. Why did the god of the land attack just the woman, a married woman who had an affair with the past? Why did the gods of the land not attack both of them? So these guys don't really have a case. Well, it's an alleged information. We'll soon find out, like I said, the real story behind all of this.